Peditam kalmashapaham Sharavanamangalam Srimadatatam Bhuvananti Hurirajana. Your words are like nectar, bring life to scorched souls. They are praised by poets and remove all sin. They are auspicious to hear, wonderful and exalted. Those who spread these words throughout the world are truly giving souls. Welcome to our class on the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. We're on the chapter Advice to Pundit Shashadhar, and we're on page 492. This chapter covers a fair amount of time, and it goes to different places. And now the section that we're on began on Thursday, July 3rd, 1884, and it takes place in Balaram Bose's house in Calcutta, and it's the occasion of the return car festival, the Rata Jatra. And Sri Ramakrishna is speaking to M, of course, is there, and other devotees, and Pundit Shashadhar will also come. Now, there are several themes that have been going on in this chapter. One is that Balaram's father is there. And we know that there was tension in Balaram's family between his father and his brothers. They were all very devout Vaishnavas, devout Orthodox Vaishnavas, and were not terribly happy how involved Balaram was with Sri Ramakrishna. They didn't know too much about him. The Vaishnava community was a very close-knit, kind of closed community. They were accustomed to staying within that community and taking initiation, mantra, and everything from the gurus of that community. So there was a little bit of curiosity and a little bit of negativity, we can say, but they wanted to see. One of the reasons why Balaram's father came was to get a glimpse of Sri Ramakrishna, find out who he is, and his Balaram's a brother also. They were a wealthy family, and Balaram was. It sounds like he was kind of on a tight leash with the money that he was given from the family. They owned property in Puri and in Vrindavan and everything. So this is one of the themes. One of the themes of this chapter is this car festival. It's the kind of examination of Sri Ramakrishna by Balaram's father, and it's this Pundit Shashadhar, who Sri Ramakrishna met him earlier. They have a few different meetings together, and he likes this Pundit Shashadhar, and Shashadhar is also extremely respectful and impressed by Sri Ramakrishna also. So this is where we start, and Sri Ramakrishna is speaking now to M and the other devotees. It started out 491 asking how do you feel about Shashadhar? So then it goes on now. So we'll start the middle of the page. Before meeting Keshab, I asked Narayan Shastri to visit him and tell me what he thought of him. This is Ramakrishna speaking. This was a little bit typical of what Sri Ramakrishna did before he met these very well-known people. Very often he would send Hridoy first. Here, for some reason, he's sending Narayan Shastri, who was one of the pundits who happened to be a serious spiritual aspirant, and another one who was not a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, but had a great respect for him. And Thakur respected his opinion also. Narayan reported that Keshab was an adept in japa. He knew astrology and remarked that Keshab had been born under a good star. Then I went to visit Keshab in his garden house at Belghoria. Hridoy was with me. This is the scene of that photograph that we have with Hridoy holding up Sri Ramakrishna. The moment I saw Keshab, I said, of all the people I see here, he alone has dropped his tail. He can now live on land as well as in water, like a frog. Now, this very first visit, Keshab and the others were highly skeptical. Who is this strange man who's coming? Is he exactly a holy man? He's not dressed like a holy man. He's saying odd things. Hridoy used to just introduce him. This is my uncle, that he's only interested in God. Mind is absorbed in God. He's come to meet you. Some simple type of introduction. So all of the others thought, what a stupid remark. What does this mean? Like a frog and a tadpole and dropping the tail and all of these things. But Keshab somehow had some deeper insight. He said, no, wait, let him explain what he means. And then, so Thakur said that he can now live on land. This is what they say about the tadpole, that as long as it still has its tail, it can only live in water. And then some evolutionary stage comes, and when it drops the tail, it can live both in. That means live both in the world, because Keshab was a family man, married, children, everything. But at the same time, had a very deep spiritual life, and Sri Ramakrishna was very, very fond of Keshab. And we were reading yesterday, Keshab was the first one to collect the sayings of Sri Ramakrishna and publish them. And this is another example of the humility of Keshab. Here, he's considered to be the spiritual leader among the intelligent, the English-educated intelligentsia of the day. And most people in his situation would not be proclaiming the greatness of any other holy person. So it shows that Keshab had some real stuff in him. But Keshab also wanted to find out. He wasn't 100% convinced. So it says, Keshab, Sri Ramakrishna said, Keshab sent 3 members of the Brahmo Samaj to the temple garden at Dakshineshwar to test me, to examine him. Is he genuine or is he not genuine? Prasanna was one of them. They were commissioned to watch me day and night and report to Keshab. They were in my room and intended to spend the night there. This was a common thing. The Thakur's room was kind of open for people to spread out a mat or blanket and sleep there or on the veranda outside. This was not an unusual thing. They constantly uttered the word Dayamaya. The footnote, the compassionate one. The Brahmos are fond of using this name for God, whom they believe to be formless and yet personal and endowed with attributes. They constantly uttered the word Dayamaya and said to me, follow Kesha Babu, that will do you good. Yeah, there was actually a feeling among many of the Brahmos that Sri Ramakrishna changed because of his meeting with Keshab, and that he somehow grew spiritually and was less fanatical and everything because of the influence of Keshab. And others who understood things a little better saw how much the Keshab and the Brahmos changed because of their opportunity to see Sri Ramakrishna and live with him and everything. So there were, even at the very end, there were some who were still very fanatically attached to Keshab and to the Brahmo Samaj. And I think he felt a little resentment towards Sri Ramakrishna, especially this Shivanath Shastri. And to the point where that one time when Thakur came to their meeting, they went into Samadhi, where they just flipped off all the lights and there was chaos, and Narendra was so embarrassed, and he took Sri Ramakrishna and took him out and everything. So there was always a funny type of tension between the two of them. And we hear that after Sri Ramakrishna passed away, that Narendra was approached. Will he join them again? Because he was a member earlier. He would be one of the acharyas, leaders of the Brahmo Samaj. Of course, he said no. So probably they also felt a little bit put off because of that. And anyhow, this is that relationship. But it didn't affect the relationship between Keshab and Sri Ramakrishna. That was a very sweet relationship. We don't find any jealousy or resentment or anything. In the beginning, of course, he wants to find out if he's genuine or not. So they said to me, follow Kesha Babu, that will do you good. I said, I believe in God with form. Still, they went on with their exclamations of Dayamai. Then a strange mood came over me. I said to them, get out of here. I didn't allow them to spend the night in my room, so they slept on the veranda. Captain also spent the night in the temple garden the first time he visited me. Sri Ramakrishna now he's actually talking about all of the different pundits that he knew. So this is the context of it. Earlier he talked about Gaudiya Pandit and then Narayan Shastri, and so now talking about Keshav. Now Michael, he'll mention another one. He's in a mood for some reason, reminiscing about all these the big names of the day. Michael is Michael Madhusudan Dutt. He was one of the most famous Bengali poets, but also a lawyer. We read today that when M was only 12 years old, he saw this Michael, who had come to help with some legal question about the Brahmo Samaj. Is that what it was? And yeah, he came to stay at a relative's house, something like that. So M had met him very early. But he had converted to Christianity. This was a big thing. And aside from that, he was a great Bengali poet and responsible for poetry, the non-rhyming poetry. Is that what they call it? What do they call it? Yeah, that of course is Meghna. Well, yeah, that was a very famous, but blank verse. What did we say? Anyhow, he was one of the innovators of a certain style of writing poetry. You know who else is considered one of the innovators of modern Bengali writing? Swamiji, Swami Vivekananda. Yeah, that he was one of the first to popularize writing in the conversational language Bengali. Yeah, he wrote some very strikingly colorful articles about the fisherman catching a shark and the Turkish fisherman when he was traveling through Cairo and that area and everything. It was published in Udbodhan. He contributed some of the first articles there, and his language was really remarkable. He's a very brilliant writer, in addition to everything else. So Michael visited the temple garden when Narayan Shastri was living with me. Dwarika Babu, Mathur's eldest son, brought him here. The owners of the temple garden were about to get into a lawsuit with the English proprietors of the neighboring Powder magazine, so they wanted Michael's advice. Just to the north of where the bell tree is in Thakurjita Sadhana, that's where that magazine was. That means all the gunpowder and arms and ammunition, everything was stored there. That's why Sri Ramakrishna, he warned Narendra, you go and make dhuni fire. That when he was in Kashipur, they used to go to Dakshineshwar and would have it dhuni fire and meditate around that. Swamiji, some of the others, he would warn him, don't go too close to that area, you'll get in trouble. They'll be afraid that everything will explode. So the owners of the temple garden were about to get into a lawsuit with the English proprietors of the neighboring Powder magazine, so they wanted Michael's advice. I met him in the big room next to the manager's office. Narayan Shastri was with me. I asked Narayan to talk to him. Michael couldn't talk very well in Sanskrit. When these great pundits get together, they'll converse in Sanskrit. He made mistakes. Then they talked in the popular dialect. Narayan Shastri asked him the reason for giving up the Hindu religion. Pointing to his stomach, Michael said, "It was for this." Now, I don't know the whole history and everything. He must have had some conviction, but probably he grew up poor and everything. Much of the conversion to Christianity was because of that. It was either poor people or those who were tempted by getting some gifts and things and everything. So it's not such an unusual thing, but Sri Ramakrishna won't be very happy hearing that. Anyhow, so this is the footnote. He was a lawyer and one of the greatest of Bengali poets. He was a convert to Christianity. Okay, so pointing to his, it was for this. Narayan said, "What shall I say to a man who gives up his religion for his belly's sake?" Thereupon Michael asked me to say something. I said, "I don't know why, but I don't feel like saying anything. Someone seems to be pressing my tongue." So Thakur used this expression at other times also. If he felt someone wasn't genuine or there was some hypocrisy or it wouldn't serve any purpose, he would feel as if mother were preventing him from saying anything. Manu Mohan, "Mr. Chaudhary will not come. He said that fellow Shashadhar from Faridpur will be there. I shall not go." So this is just the type of small-mindedness, than jealousy and things. People come from a different place or they have a different reputation for whatever reason. So for some reason he didn't care for this Pundit Shashadhar, that fellow Shashadhar. A very disrespectful way of referring to him. He was a great Pundit. From Faridpur means he was from East Bengal. So there's also a little bit of looking down upon people from East Bengal. Could have been part of this. I don't know. Mr. Chaudhary had obtained his master's degree from Calcutta University. He drew a salary of 300 or 400 rupees, quite a good salary in those days. After the death of his first wife, he had felt intense dispassion for the world, but after some time he had married again. He frequently visited the master at the temple garden. I don't know anything about this, Mr. Chaudhary. Sadhu Bhai, nothing. We don't even get his first name. Master, how mean of him. He is vain of his scholarship. Besides, he is married a second time. He looks on the world as a mere mud puddle. That means he pretends that he probably talks that way. The world is a mere mud puddle. But after the passing away of his wife, he could have devoted himself just to spiritual life and everything. He got married. Not a terrible thing to do, but for somebody who's looking down on everybody else and talking big, it doesn't look good. To the devotees, this attachment to lust and gold makes a man small-minded. When I first saw Hara Mohan, he had many good traits. I longed to see him. He was then 17 or 18 years old. I used to send for him every now and then, but he wouldn't come. He is now living away from the family with his wife. He had been living with his uncle before. That was very good. He had no worldly troubles. Now he has a separate home and does the marketing for his wife daily. Now, many men do that, of course. If you see in the early morning, or not early morning, at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, you'll see many of the men going, buying the vegetables and things and bringing it back. But a lot of this is also for M's sake, because M had also left, and Sri Ramakrishna told him over and over again, you live with the family, then you'll be relieved of all of these duties and everything. There'll be people who can do these things for you and everything. So partly for that reason. The other day he came to Dakshineshwar. I said to him, "Go away, leave this place. I don't even feel like touching you." And now it sounds very harsh. But Sri Ramakrishna, uh, we know that any feelings or emotions that he had manifested in him in a very literal and tangible way. So he wasn't one to feel like that and just welcome him and everything. Uh, so occasionally we'll find that he could be harsh like that. Sri Ramakrishna went to the inner apartment to see the deity. So this is, remember, Balaram Bose's house. Going to the inner apartment means going where all the women stayed, and other men would not be allowed to go there, outside men. This is what I've mentioned a few times, that uh, we don't have the uh, opportunity, we've lost this wonderful opportunity to know what Sri Ramakrishna said to the women devotees when he would go to the inner apartment. He would visit them, he would usually take his meal with them, but M wasn't invited at that time. So he would probably be the only man, maybe some of the others of the family, but so we don't know what took place. But sometimes he would stay for quite some time. Sometimes they would hear laughing and other things, and he was very free with the women. He doesn't talk like that all of the time. We may get the impression he didn't enjoy their company, but almost invariably we'll find that he's invited to the inner apartments to take his meal or refreshments with the women there.
So the women didn't have veil at that time, those women?
If they're in the inner apartment, they don't have to. It's just among themselves. If they come out in public, then they have to be veiled. Yeah. They're, yeah, generally they didn't feel any shyness in front of Sri Ramakrishna. Of course, we don't have accounts of it. Only a few different times, Golab Maha, or one or two other things when they talked about different things. But yeah, even in the Brahmo Samaj, which was so liberal and westernized and everything, that there was a screen and the women stayed on one side and the men stayed on the other side. Yeah. Even today, in most of the temples and even in our centers, and generally one side will be for the men, one side for the women. Yeah. But not as separate and equal access to to the shrine and everything. So Sri Ramakrishna went to the inner apartment to see the deity. He offered some flowers. The ladies of Balaram's family were pleased to see him. The master came back to the drawing room and said, "The worldly minded practice devotions, japa, and austerity only by fits and starts. But those who know nothing else but God repeat his name with every breath. Some always repeat mentally, Om Rama. Even the followers of the path of knowledge repeat, Soham, I am he. There are others whose tongues are always moving, repeating the name of God. One should remember and think of God constantly." Now, this will also be something very pleasing to Balaram's father. So we find two things going on here. One, he'll be railing a little bit against this very orthodox, bigoted point of view that my path is the only path. He'll be talking about that quite a bit. And at the same time, he'll praise the Vaishnavas for always doing japa. They're known for that. You can see them riding on the bus and doing anything, always with their mala in their hand, in a bag, or under their shirt or something like that. This is one of their main practices. And Sri Ramakrishna liked that idea. There was one instance where somebody went to, I think, Swami Bhaskarananda, famous Bhaskarananda Swami in Varanasi. And he asked him, "What advice did the Swami give?" And he said, "Repeat the name of God, name of Rama." He said, "Very good advice." Other times he would, make some comment or something, but yeah. So Sri Ramakrishna gave tremendous importance to the repetition of the name of God. That is one of the easiest ways to keep the mind fixed on God and to awaken some inner feeling of devotion, especially with this conviction of the oneness of God and the name of God. This is one of the great principles of those who do a lot of japa, that repeating the name of God and God or one, or there are even stories about the name of God being greater. There's one story from one of the Puranas that they were doing the type of sacrifice where a person sits on one side, two huge pans, and the weight of that person, there'll be an equal amount of gold on the other side. And Sri Krishna was sitting on one side, and no matter how much they put, that it wasn't enough to lift him up. So if I have the story right, Rukmini, she wrote the name on Krishna on a tulsi leaf and placed it on the pan, and then it was, so the name of God was heavier than God himself. So, and you have stories like that, just to show the greatness of the name of God, a repetition of the name. Pundit Shashadhar entered the room with one or two friends and saluted the master. So he met him first, I forget where, Surendra's house, maybe. And then he Dakshineshwar, now he's meeting him at Balaram's house, I think. But there's one period, they had a lot of back and forth with each other. Master smiling. We are like the bridesmaids waiting near the bed for the arrival of the groom. See, after such a short period, he felt so comfortable with him. The Pundit laughed. The room was filled with devotees, among them Dr. Pratap and Balaram's father. The master continued his talk. Master to Shashadhar. The first sign of knowledge is a peaceful nature. And the second is absence of egotism. Now, when Sri Ramakrishna is talking about the sign of knowledge, he's not talking about book learning or anything. First sign of knowledge will be you can spout, you can recite from the scriptures day and night and everything. That's not the way Thakur's mind worked. He's talking about those who have some real wisdom. Peaceful nature. And second is absence of egotism. You have both. There are other indications of a jnani. He shows intense dispassion in the presence of a sadhu, is a lion when at work, for instance, when he lectures, and is full of wit before his wife. All laugh. So a jnani here doesn't have to mean a God relay soul. It'll be somebody who likes this path of knowledge, and they may be pundits, and these pundits were generally married. There was nothing in the scriptures or anything to say that they shouldn't. In fact, the householder life was highly extolled. Many people would come to Sri Ramakrishna when he would talk about sannyasa, and they would say, but the scriptures say that the Grihastha, the householder stage of life, is the greatest stage of life. And talk about, yeah, that's true. Yeah. And then he would talk about sannyasa. But so this is a very nice way of putting it. So peaceful nature, absence of egotism. And then other indications, intense dispassion in the presence of a sadhu. We find this, I think, even among ourselves, that we feel this. When some of the very senior sadhus of the order, when they come here, that the mind feels very quiet and calm. I know personally when Swami Swanaji used to come here, that I would notice that it was like the mind would just get empty somehow sitting before him. So this is one of the signs that intense dispassion in the presence of a sadhu. Then a lion when at work. So Thakur liked that, and do things with passion. Yeah, if we're going to do something, we should do things. Swamiji also, he said, you're born into this world, leave a mark, do something. Yeah. And full of wit before his wife. But the nature of a Vijnani is quite different, as was the case with the Chaitanya Deva. Now, if we're talking about a Jnani, as opposed to a Vijnani, that a Jnani will be not necessarily a God realized soul, but someone with great wisdom. The Vijnani will be somebody who's had that realization, full realization, and comes back and lives in the world. So that'll be a whole different type of thing. And Sri Ramakrishna is talking about Chaitanya Deva as an example. He acts like a child or a madman or an inert thing or a ghoul. So this is a description that we find both in the Bhagavata and in the Vivekachudamani. Both of them give this the same thing about this Unmadavad and Pishachavad, all of these different things. Thakur talks about it many times. When in the mood of a child, he sometimes shows childlike guilelessness, sometimes the frivolity of adolescence, and sometimes, while instructing others, the strength of a young man. So not just a small child, it can be all different stages. Pundit. By what kind of bhakti does one realize God? Now see how serious a question it is. He's not showing off his knowledge, his Advaita Vedanta, or anything like that. He's very seriously asking Sri Ramakrishna because he sees a man of God realization. These pundits, very often the pundits would say to Sri Ramakrishna, all our lives we've been reading about and talking about the samadhi and God realization without knowing anything about it. Now we see it. We realize it's a whole different thing. So this Pandit who also had this humility. By what kind of bhakti does one realize God? Master. Now, one thing we'll notice with Ramakrishna is that he's famous for repeating himself and give the same answer over and over again. But he also has a series of different answers that he'll give. Very often he'll say this Ujita Bhakti, that it has to be overwhelming, mad love of God. Here he's going to talk about the three gunas. Yeah. So he'll give different types of advice at different times and to different people. Yeah, we also read the other day, someone was asking M, why did you put so much repetition? Sri Ramakrishna said the same thing over and over again. You didn't have to put it every time. He said, no, that each time the context is different and the people that he's talking to are different. If we don't see all of that, we won't realize how he could shape his teachings to be suitable to everybody. So we said, no, it's important that we see, even if he's saying the same thing, that the setting is different and the people are different. So the answer that we'll get here is not perhaps what we're expecting. What kind of bhakti? That overwhelming love of God. It's anuraga. But he says the three kinds of bhakti are found according to the nature of the man. Sattvic bhakti, rajasic bhakti, and tamasic bhakti. Sattvic bhakti is known to God alone. So sattvic bhakti, it means what is the devotion of a person who's endowed with sattva. Sattva will be simplicity. It'll be goodness and kindness, but very simple. No outward show of anything. So he says, sattvic bhakti is known to God alone. It makes no outward display. A man with such devotion loves privacy. Perhaps he meditates inside the mosquito net where nobody sees him. When this kind of devotion is awakened, one hasn't long to wait for the vision of God. The appearance of the dawn in the east shows that the sun will rise before long. Now, the one thing that we can note is that Sri Ramakrishna never pushed anybody into a certain direction that was opposed to their nature. So he'll talk about even rajasic bhakti, which sounds like the lowest of all of them, that this will be the way that this devotion will manifest in a person who has an excess of rajas. That's all. It is not so much that the sattvic is the only way. If our nature is a little bit different, we also have a path. If we can develop sattva, it's best, of course. It's very good. But he's very non-judgmental with all of this. Only we know that he has great praise for this sattvic type of the bhakti. And we'll see for some reason he loves this tamasic bhakti. Rajasic bhakti, not so much. If we have to do a scale, we'll say that the rajasic will be the lowest. Sometimes we'll even see tamasic is the highest. Anyway, we'll get to all this. So sattvic bhakti is known to God alone. It makes no outward display. A man with such devotion loves privacy. Perhaps he meditates inside the mosquito net where nobody sees him. When this kind of devotion is awakened, one hasn't long to wait for the vision of God. The appearance of the dawn in the east shows that the sun will rise before long. This is another common example that Thakur uses. He connects this very often with Vakulata. When we have that tremendous longing for God, then we know that very soon we'll have that realization. So he compares that to seeing this Odonodaya, this glow, pink, orange glow. Before we see the sun, we see the change of color in the sky. Then the sun comes. A man with rajasic bhakti feels like making a display in his devotion before others. He worships the deity with 16 ingredients. There's a footnote. As prescribed in the books of the Hindu ritual. Okay. Yeah, we also do the Shorisapuji, the 16 item worship. Enters the temple wearing a silk cloth and puts around his neck a string of rudraksha beads interspersed here and there with the beads of gold and ruby. So this is a rajasic type of devotion. Thakur doesn't say much that this is bad. We have to get rid of this. This is people who are of that nature. This is how the devotion will manifest in it. A man with tamasic bhakti shows the courage and boisterousness of a highway robber. A highway robber goes on his expedition openly shouting, "Kill, plunder." He isn't afraid even of 8 police officers. The devotee with tamasic bhakti also shouts like a madman, "Hara hara boom boom, victory to Kali." He has great strength of mind and burning faith. And very often he'll say, this tamasic bhakti, someone will say, "You have to reveal yourself, otherwise I'll cut my throat with a knife." Exactly what he said and went to do. So Thakur liked this. I mean, he loved to see people with the sattvic bhakti. He could put up with rajasic bhakti, but especially those worshippers of Divine Mother, that he liked somehow this idea of force your demands, like the highwaymen. So he likes tamasic bhakti. A Shakta has such faith. Now remember, he's talking to the Vaishnavas, to Balaram's father also. He wants to show him that not only the Vaishnava faith has wonderful things, but other faiths also, they're different. A Shakta has such faith, he says, "What? I've uttered once the name of Kali and Durga. I've uttered once the name of Rama." So he's not restricting it to the Shakta. "Can there be any sin in me?" The Vaishnavas have a very humble and lowly attitude. Now, humble and lowly, it sounds okay, but it can be overdone. And there's something which I like to call the ego of humility. Who is the most humble person? No, I'm the lowest. No, I'm the lowest. Yeah, no, I'm the worst sinner. No, I'm the worst sinner. The little bit of lack of genuineness in all of this. And Thakur didn't care for it, and Swamiji hated it. And Thakur used to say, "Yeah, you call yourself a sinner, you'll become a sinner. Your whole mind will be tainted with that idea. Think of yourself as a child of God." Swamiji used to say that the children of immortality, that Amritasya Putra. So the Vaishnavas have a very humble and lowly attitude. So this is not praising them so much as it sounds. Looking at Balaram's father, they tell their rosary and whine and whimper. "Oh, Krishna, be gracious to us. We are wretched. We are sinners." A man should have such fiery faith as to be able to say, "I've uttered the name of God. How can I be a sinner? Imagine a man repeating the name of Hari day and night, and at the same time saying that he is a sinner. So this will be something shocking to the Vaishnavas, that it's so ingrained in them to have this very humble, lowly attitude. I'm nobody, I'm nothing. To hear Sri Ramakrishna say these things. So saying, Sri Ramakrishna became overwhelmed with divine ecstasy and sang, "If only I can pass away repeating Durga's name, how canst thou then, O Blessed One, withhold from me deliverance, wretched though I may be? I may have stolen a drink of wine, or killed a child unborn, or slain a woman, or a cow, or even caused a Brahmin's death. But though it all be true, nothing of this can make me feel the least uneasiness, for through the power of thy sweet name, my wretched soul may still aspire even to Brahmanhood." He sang again, "Behold my mother playing with Shiva, lost in an ecstasy of joy. Drunk with a draught of celestial wine, she reels, and yet she does not fall. Erect she stands on Shiva's bosom, and the earth trembles under her tread. She and her lord are mad with frenzy, casting aside all fear and shame." Pundit Shashadhar was weeping. This great Pundit, known to be tremendous scholar, Sanskrit scholar, and everything else, was weeping. Of course, when Sri Ramakrishna is singing, his whole soul is in it. He's becoming one with the song. It's not like hearing anybody else sing. Pandit Shashadhar was weeping. Vaishnav Charan, the musician, sang. Now, there are two Vaishnav Charans. Don't get them confused. The one is the one who's the head of that Kartabhaja sect and everything. This Vaishnav Charan was a professional singer. He would sing devotional songs. He very often went to Balaram's house and Ram's house and everything. And Sri Ramakrishna told Adhar to bring this Vaishnav Charan to his house every day to sing for him. Adhar's case we know is really unique. Somehow Sri Ramakrishna compressed everything into a period of 1 or 2 years because he died so soon after meeting him. So how quickly he became so close to Sri Ramakrishna, how many times Sri Ramakrishna went to his house, how much advice he gave to him, and even this, to have him listen to this devotional music every day from this Vaishnav Charan. That was his profession, singer. So, and he doesn't seem to have had any sectarian bias. He easily sings Vaishnava songs and Shakta songs and anything. Otherwise, I don't know much about him. But he came very often to see Sri Ramakrishna. "O tongue, always repeat the name of Mother Durga. Who but your Mother Durga will save you in distress? Thou art the heavens and the earth, and thou the netherworld. From thee have the 12 Gopalas and Hari and Shiva sprung. The 10 embodiments of divine Shakti art thou, and thou the 10 avatars." Now, for Vaishnava to hear these things, Vishnu, or according to some, even Krishna is the source of all the avatars. Here it's saying Mother Durga, source of all the avatars. "And thou the 10 avatars, this time save me thou must. The moving and the unmoving, the gross and the subtle art thou. Creation and preservation art thou, and the last dissolution. Thou art the primal root of this manifold universe, the mother of the three worlds. Their only savior art thou. Thou art the Shakti of all, and thou thine own Shakti too." As the master listened to the last few lines, he went into an ecstatic mood. The master himself sang. Now, this song is one of a series of songs. Is not, there aren't so many, but there's a theme that we find, the oneness of Kali and Krishna. Now, part of it is, of course, is color. The one is Shama, the other Shama. They're both dark complexioned. Whether we say dark blue or the color of a dark rain cloud, anyhow, the Krishna means black, Shama may be a very dark blue or even a dark green color, something like that. But anyhow, they share that same complexion. So there are many songs that try to show that they're one and the same in different forms. Or you came once as mother, you came once as Krishna, something like that. Somebody wrote a book called The Sword and the Flute once. Yeah, the sword meaning Mother Kali and the flute meaning Krishna. These about these songs that combine them, and it doesn't really seem to be placing one above the other. Sometimes it'll be that oh, really Krishna is nothing but the Divine Mother, or Divine Mother is really Krishna, or one is better than the other. It doesn't seem to be like that. It just seems to show the oneness of Kali and Krishna. Anyhow, it's a beautiful song, beautiful ideas here. Oh, Mother, for Yashoda. So it starts out addressing the deity as Mother, Divine Mother. But for Yashoda, that means Mother when you were the baby Gopala. So, oh Mother, for Yashoda, thou wouldst dance when she called thee her precious blue jewel. This was one of the names of the baby Krishna. You go see the dark blue complexion. Nilmani. Where hast thou hidden that lovely form, O terrible Shama? So, because there's such a tremendous dichotomy between the imagery of both. One is sweet and lovely playing a flute and wildflowers around the neck, the other guardian of skulls and the sword and everything. So how to poetically show the oneness of the two of them? The beautiful song. Let me start again. Oh, Mother, for Yashoda thou wouldst dance when she called thee her precious blue jewel. Where hast thou hidden that lovely form, O terrible Shama? Mother Kali. Dance that way once for me, O Mother. So addressing still his mother. Throw down thy sword and take the flute. So reveal yourself in the form of Krishna, same Divine Mother. Cast off thy garland of heads and wear thy wild flower garland. If without Shiva thou canst not dance, then let Balarama be thy Shiva. Dance, O Shama, as thou didst dance when thou wast Krishna. Mother, play on thy flute again, once so full of delight for the gopis. Play again on thy magic flute, which called the cattle in from the pasture, stopping the Jamuna's murmuring flow and turning it backward. High in the sky the sun would burn when Yashoda, restless for her Krishna, fondly would call him, Here, my Gopala, cream and butter, eat them, my darling. And she would comb his long black hair and carefully braid it. Bending thy supple body, Mother, both at the neck, the waist, and the knee. So again, addressing Mother Kali, telling her take the form of Krishna, then in Tribhanga, then in the three places. Bending thy supple body, Mother, both at the neck, the waist, and the knee. Thou didst dance with thy friend Shridama, while thy two anklets played the music. Tataya, tataya, tata, tataya. Hearing their captivating sound, the gopis would rush there. Brilliant songs. I don't know who wrote these. You know? No. Again, Pundit Shashadhar shed tears of love. So, how interesting is this? Is Pundit Shashadhar, he'll be more a worshiper of Shiva and Kali and everything, and Balaram's father, this devout Vaishnava, and singing a song showing this kind of oneness, the spirit of oneness. Again, Pundit Shashadhar shed tears of love. Sri Ramakrishna came down to consciousness of the world. So he's singing this song in an ecstatic mood, almost just below that state of samadhi. So he has enough awareness so he can sing. Pointing to Shashadhar, he said to M, why don't you prod him? He wanted M or some other devotee to ask Shashadhar a question, because he was a very brilliant Pandit. And now, of course, he'll be a little shy to speak in front of Sri Ramakrishna, but Thakur liked that. When these great souls would come, he himself would ask them questions. You would like to see what kind of answers they would give. Ramdayal to Shashadhar. The scriptures speak of Brahman's form as a projection of mind. Who is it that projects? Shashadhar. It is Brahman itself that does so. It is no projection of a man's mind. Now, these are very simple answers to very complicated questions, and there'll be different types of answers to these questions. There'll be some who take a very, very radical point of view that I close my eyes and the world doesn't exist. I open my eyes and it exists again. A very radical type of point of view. I don't know all of these different things. Srishti, Drishti, Vada, and Drishti, Srishti, Vada. You can read it in this Swami Sarvadevananda's book. That which one was it? This Vishishta, Yoga Vishishta or Adhyatma Rayana, Yoga Vishishta Sara, Yoga Vishishta Sara. They have all these different doctrines that we find about that. But this answer he gives a very good answer. That if we think of the example of a dream, okay, suppose this is a dream, and suppose I close my eyes. Does anything exist? No. If it's a dream, if I dream, the only thing that exists is I close my eyes is blackness. That'll be what's visible in the dream. There's nobody else there to see anything. It's just a projection. There's nothing there. Yeah? If in a dream, I'm looking at this post. Yeah? In a dream, look at the post. Now I know for sure that inside that post there's studs. There are all sorts of things. In a dream, there's nothing inside of it. Everything is just what I see. There's nothing outside of this room, unless I dream it. There's no brain inside the head, unless I dream that there's a brain surgery going on, and I see there's nothing. Whatever I dream, that's what's there. There's nothing else. Huh? Everybody agree? No. You think that really, if you dream something, it has some real existence?
No, you said in dream it's all dark. Actually, in dream.
No, if you close your eyes.
Eyes are
in the dream.
You're dreaming.
Huh?
You're dreaming, eyes are closed.
I'm talking about the person in the dream closing his eyes, the actor in the dream.
Oh.
Okay. Now, if the actor in the dream opens his eyes, is there any cause and effect? Any causal relationship between opening the eyes and seeing objects there? No, it's all the mind of the dreamer. All the mind of the dreamer. So this what this Shashadhar is saying is that this cosmic dreamer is not me as an individual of projecting things. We project onto things, see things in our own different way and everything, but generally speaking, this type of idealism is not what's meant by this everything swapnavat, like a dream. Yeah, in a dream, there's no relationship whatsoever between the eyes and seeing. We don't see things because the eyes are open. We see things because we're dreaming it. It's a projection of the mind of the dreamer. So this is, if we like that idea, that this is the dream of the cosmic dreamer, even then, it's not the individual who's responsible for all of the visible objects. It's all the projection of this cosmic mind of the dreamer. So anyhow, this is the type of answer that he's given. Brahman's form as a projection of mind. Who is it that projects? So Brahman's form, we can say everything. It is Brahman itself that does so. It is no projection of a man's mind. Now, as I say, there'll be schools of thought that do say that. We were just reading about Berkeley, the English philosopher, that he says to see something is for it to exist. Huh? What was it? Essa is percipi, something like that. Yeah. That type of radical idealism is generally not what we mean in Vedanta. And I also don't like it very much. So this is a good answer. So he says, it is Brahman itself that does so. It is no projection of a man's mind. Pratap. Why does Brahman project the form? So why do we have a dream? If we want to put it that way, why does the Brahman project this universe the way that it is and everything? Now, Sri Ramakrishna will butt in here. He doesn't give Shashadhar a chance to answer. He answers himself. Master, you ask why? Brahman doesn't act in consultation with others. It is Brahman's pleasure. Brahman is self-willed. Now, this brings in this idea of Brahman as the Mahamaya, as the Divine Mother. Why should we try to know the reason for Brahman's acting this way or that? You have come to the orchard to eat mangoes. Eat the mangoes. What is the good of calculating how many trees there are in the orchard, how many thousands of branches, and how many millions of leaves? One cannot realize truth by futile arguments and reasoning. So this we're so mad about understanding why and how this universe is projected, and is it Maya, is it Shakti, all of that. Sri Ramakrishna is so clear that we're incapable of understanding these things, and yet we're not satisfied with that answer. We're always searching for some deeper understanding and everything. But he's very clear about all these things. Pratap, shouldn't we reason any more? Master, I am asking you not to indulge in futile reasoning. This is that very important distinction. Two types of vichara. The one vichara is just using the small amount of intelligence we have to answer these big questions, which are beyond our capability of answering. And the other is day to day trying to figure out what to do and what not to do, what's important, what's not important. That we have to do constantly. What's permanent and what's transitory. That we have to do all the time. So Pratap asked, shouldn't we reason any more then, Master? I'm asking you not to indulge in futile reasoning, but reason by all means about the real and the unreal, about what is permanent and what is transitory. You must reason when you are overcome by lust, anger, or grief. Shashidhar, that is different. It is called reasoning based on discrimination. Master, yes, discrimination between the real and the unreal. Now, this doesn't have to be this philosophical type of discrimination, Brahman and Maya or anything, but that which has some lasting value and purpose in life, and that which is temporary. This shreyas and preyas, that which is just some type of temporary enjoyment that doesn't lead to anything permanent, and that which has some real value to it. All sat in silence. Again, the master spoke, addressing the Pundit. Master, formerly, many great people used to come here. Shashidhar, you mean rich people? Yeah, the Bengali term, probably Bordalog, it can mean both. You mean a rich person or a great person? So it's not a surprising question. You mean rich people? Master, no, great scholars. In the meantime, the small car of Jagannath had been brought to the veranda. Now, I explained last time, this veranda is not an outside veranda. The rooms are on the outside, the veranda is on the inside, and there's a big open court. So you can look down from that inside veranda, and it goes all around, and they're going to draw the chariot there. So in the meantime, the small cart of Jagannath had been brought to the veranda. So when Sri Ramakrishna went to the inner apartments to see the deity, it was probably still there. And they took the image and put it on the small chariot. Inside the car were the images of Krishna, Balarama, and Subhadra, brother and sister. They were adorned with flowers, garlands, jewelry, and yellow apparel. Balaram was a sattvic worshipper. There was no outward grandeur in his worship. So still he was loved these Vaishnava traditions. Not that he strayed, it was a black sheep or anything in the family, but he was much more open and, of course, so devoted to Sri Ramakrishna. Outsiders did not even know of this car festival at his house. The master and the devotees went to the veranda. Sri Ramakrishna pulled the car by the rope. Then he began to sing. See how all Nadia is shaking under the waves of Gauranga's love. Nodi is Navadvip, and Gauranga is Chaitanya Dev. So these are all songs about him. He sang again, behold the two brothers. This is Nimai and Nitai, this Chaitanya Deva and Nityananda, who weren't really brothers, but they were like brothers. Behold, the two brothers have come who weep while chanting Hari's name. The brothers who, in return for blows, offer to sinners Hari's love. Sri Ramakrishna danced with the devotees. The musician and his party joined the master in the music and dancing. Soon the whole veranda was filled with people. The ladies witnessed the scene of joy from an adjoining room. It appeared as if Chaitanya himself were dancing with his devotees, intoxicated with divine love. It was not yet dusk. Sri Ramakrishna returned to the drawing room with the devotees. And then the conversation will continue. So we're stopping at the top of page 497. Om Niranjanam Nityamanantarupam Bhaktanukam Bhatadvikraham Ishavataram Parameshamidhyam Tam Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namama. We bow our heads before Sri Ramakrishna, who is stainless, of infinite nature, whose heart melts in sympathy for his devotees, who is an embodiment of the divine and the Supreme Lord, and ever worthy of our worship. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. We are approaching the end of the year. We have our New Year's program that everyone is welcome to come. That you can come for Arati and spend the whole evening, or just come 11 o'clock. We meet in the shrine at that time and have a Arati at midnight. And before that, reading from the great master about the Kalpataru day. And it's a Sunday, so there's no lecture that day. And then Monday morning, we'll have our puja, Kalpataru Day puja. And Holy Mother's birthday falls on the 3rd. So we're combining them. We'll have worship of Holy Mother also. So everyone is invited for that. And all of us at the center wish all of you a very happy and healthy and prosperous and spiritually enlightening New Year.